The last thing I expected to wake up to at 3 in the morning was laughter. Not the soft, nostalgic kind that slips from someone remembering better days, but the sharp, delighted kind that cuts through the dark and twists your stomach before your eyes even open. "Pack your things, Mia," Mom said, standing at the foot of my bed, her phone's flashlight stabbing straight into my face. "You're the surprise guest tonight." I blinked, dazed. "What? Guest where?" She snickered, shaking her head like I was the punchline to a joke only she understood. "You'll see. Come on before I change my mind. Grab what you need." There was no warmth in her voice. Just that bitter, mocking tone she perfected ever since my sister Leia moved back home with her boyfriend. I looked past her shoulder. The house was still and silent. Only the hum of the refrigerator and the faint hiss of wind outside broke the quiet. "Mom, it's 3 in the morning," I whispered. "Can't this wait until?" She ripped the blanket off me in one motion. "No, it can't. You've had your free stay long enough. Think of this as your checkout notice." My throat went dry. "What are you talking about? You said I could stay until I got tired of looking at you," she snapped. "Well, guess what? That's now. Congratulations, surprise guest." She tossed a trash bag onto my bed. "Pack your essentials. And don't make it dramatic." My hands trembled as I stuffed clothes into the bag. Jeans, a hoodie, my diner uniform. My eyes caught the family photos on the wall. One showed all of us, Mom, Dad, Leia, and me by the lake years ago. Mom's smile looked forced, Dad's eyes unfocused, and Leia stood in the center, glowing, that smug grin on her face that said she knew she was the favorite. Mom followed my gaze and laughed again. "You think I'm sentimental? Take a picture if it means that much to you. The frames stay here." Her cruelty wasn't new. It had been fermenting for years. After Dad died, she poured every ounce of love she had left into Leia, and every drop of bitterness into me. I used to think it was grief. Now I knew better. It was choice. We drove in silence. The old sedan rattled with every turn. Empty streets blurred past under flickering streetlights. I clutched my bag to my chest. "Where are we going?" I asked again. "You'll see," she said, tapping the steering wheel to some tune only she could hear. "You always wanted your own place. I'm giving you one." Her laughter filled the car, hollow and sharp, and something inside me quietly broke. When she finally stopped, I thought she was joking. The building looked half dead, paint peeling, lights buzzing weakly. A metal sign by the door read, "City Haven Women's Shelter." "Mom," I whispered. "You're kidding, right?" Her smile stretched wide, cruel and proud. "You wanted independence, didn't you? There. Be independent." I reached for her hand. "Please don't do this. I don't have anyone else." She leaned in close, her perfume cloying and heavy, her eyes glinting with satisfaction. "You have yourself," she said. "That's all you deserve." The car locks clicked open. Out. I stepped into the cold. My bag slipped from my shoulder. The car idled for a moment. Then she rolled down her window one last time. "Oh, and Mia," she called, her voice slicing through the dark. "Don't come crying back. Leia needs her sleep." Her laughter echoed as the car pulled away, tail lights shrinking until they disappeared. I stood there until the sound was gone, until the night air bit through my clothes, until my hands couldn't stop shaking. When I finally looked up, a woman stood by the shelter door, watching me. "You okay, sweetheart?" she asked gently. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. She slipped an arm around me. "Come inside. You're safe here." Inside smelled of soap and stale coffee. A heater clattered in the corner. A few women slept on cots, some whispering in dreams, others staring blankly at the ceiling. The woman guided me to an empty bed. "You can rest here tonight. We'll talk in the morning." I sat down, clutching my bag. My eyes burned, but no tears came. I'd already cried myself dry in that house. Hours later, as dawn broke, I heard laughter again, soft, real laughter this time. I looked out the window and saw 2 women outside, one fixing the other's coat, both smiling through the cold. And that's when I realized something that broke me and stitched me back together all at once. Kindness still existed, just not always from the people who were supposed to give it first. I lay back on the cot, staring at the cracked ceiling, whispering, "She left me here to humiliate me, but she just set me free." I didn't know it then, but that night, her cruel little 3 a.m. drop-off was the last time my mother ever had control over me. The first morning at the shelter felt unreal. The cot creaked when I sat up. Pale light spilled through the blinds. Somewhere, someone was brewing coffee that smelled faintly burnt. For the first time in years, I didn't hear my mother's voice echoing through the walls. That silence weighed more than her insults ever had. Within a week, I found a job washing dishes at the same diner where I used to serve before everything at home fell apart. The manager, Carla, didn't ask questions. She just handed me an apron and said, "Clock in at 6. That simple act of mercy cracked something open in me. Each night I returned to the shelter with hands raw from soap and heat, staring at the same cracked ceiling until my eyes blurred. Every shuffle of feet, every whisper or cough reminded me I wasn't alone anymore, even if it still felt like exile. 2 weeks later, the numbness hardened into resolve. Mom hadn't just abandoned me. She'd replaced me. I learned that when Carla handed me a folded newspaper. "Thought you'd want to see this," she said. There it was. A glossy photo of my mother and sister smiling at a charity gala, accepting an award for community generosity. The caption read, "Donations to local women's shelters spearheaded by the Larson family." My jaw clenched so hard it ached. They were using me, my pain, as proof of their goodness. That night I stepped outside for air. The winter sky stretched endless and sharp above me. I had no tears left for them, only plans. The next day I found Ms. Avery, the shelter director. "Are you attending the gala's follow-up luncheon?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "Why?" "I just want to thank the donors in person," I said. She gave me a long, cautious look. "Mia, whatever you're thinking, keep it calm. We can't risk the shelter's funding." "I promise," I said, and lied. A week later, I stood outside the banquet hall in my diner uniform, balancing a tray of hors d'oeuvres. I'd volunteered through the catering company, knowing my mother would never recognize me in plain clothes, holding a serving tray. Inside, chandeliers gleamed over polished marble floors. My mother's laughter floated above the chatter, sweet, practiced, poisonous. Leia stood beside her, shimmering in silver. "Everyone deserves a second chance," Mom said to a small circle of donors, her tone dripping sanctimony. "We just want to help the unfortunate find their place." Unfortunate. I steadied my breath as I set another tray down. When her head turned, our eyes met for one suspended heartbeat. Confusion flickered across her face, then vanished behind that flawless smile. She didn't even recognize me at first. And somehow, that hurt worse than anything she'd ever said. Though noticed. Her lips parted slightly, then pressed shut again. I saw fear flicker in her eyes. Good. She remembered that call from months ago. "Don't take it personal, Mia. Mom can't carry everyone." After the gala ended, I slipped quietly into the coat room and tucked a small envelope into the donor ledger, filled with copies of every receipt proving Mom had rerouted the shelter's funds into her own charity group. I'd spent countless nights at the public donation office photocopying them, each paper cut on my hands reminding me why I couldn't stop. The next morning, the newspaper headline hit the city. "Local family under investigation for charity fraud." I didn't smile. Not yet. When Mom's number flashed on my phone at lunch, I let it ring twice before answering. "What did you do?" she hissed, her voice trembling. "I just let the truth check itself in," I said quietly. "You always thought you were better than us." "No," I replied. "Just freer." Her breath came ragged through the line. "You'll regret this." "I already did," I whispered, then hung up. That night I walked back to the shelter. Snow had started to fall again, the lights dim but steady. Miss Avery caught my arm. "You didn't make a scene, did you?" "No," I said. "They did." For the first time since that 3 a.m. laugh, my lungs felt full. The revenge wasn't poetic. It was sharp, deliberate, and final. I didn't have to scream or curse. I just handed the world the evidence my mother created herself. When the lights above me flickered, I understood something simple. She hadn't dropped me here to ruin me. She'd unknowingly left me in the only place that ever truly saw me. Winter melted slowly that year, but the bitterness inside me thawed faster than the snow outside the shelter. By spring, the shelter no longer felt like punishment. It felt like a beginning. I'd saved enough from my diner shifts to rent a small room above a bookstore. The wallpaper peeled, the sink leaked, but it was mine. My own key. My own light switch. Evenings were spent by the window, reading while the hum of the city pulsed below. Buses rumbling, laughter spilling from the cafe, rain tapping the glass. Every sound was freedom. For the first time in years, no one was yelling my name or slamming a door. When the investigation into my parents' charity hit the local news, I didn't lift a finger. Cameras swarmed the house I used to call home. They caught Mom leaving in a coat too thin for winter, hiding her face from reporters. Leia, perfect as ever, stood beside her crying. Real or rehearsed, I couldn't tell. Mom called again. I didn't answer. Then a message appeared: "We're ruined. Are you proud of yourself?" I typed a reply but never sent it. What could I say? That she'd ruin me first? That her bruises weren't on my skin but somewhere deeper, places that took years to heal? Silence was the cleanest revenge I had left. Weeks later, the shelter received new funding from donors who believed in its real mission. Ms. Avery offered me a part-time position helping new residents find homes and jobs. "You understand what they're feeling," she said. The first woman I helped was younger than me, trembling with a baby in her arms. She couldn't meet my eyes when she whispered, "My mom kicked me out." I didn't ask why. "You'll be okay," I told her softly. "It doesn't feel like it now, but you will." Her shoulders eased, and for a moment I saw my younger self fade from her face. Months passed before I saw them again, my mother and sister. They came into the diner one rainy afternoon. I recognized Mom's perfume before I even turned around. She looked smaller, thinner, her makeup uneven. Leia clutched her purse like it held her whole life. "Mia," Mom said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You look well." I set down the coffee pot carefully. "What do you want?" She hesitated. "We're staying at a motel outside town. Things have been difficult." Leia's voice trembled. "Mom hasn't been well. We lost everything. The house, the accounts." I waited. Mom's lips pressed tight. "You work here, don't you? Maybe you could help." "That's what you're asking?" I said evenly. Her silence was enough. I leaned closer, voice calm. "The night you dropped me at the shelter, you said I had myself, and that's all I deserved. You were right." Leia started to cry, but Mom just stared at me. Furious, ashamed, still trying to grasp control that wasn't hers anymore. I placed 2 empty cups on the counter. "Coffee's on the house. It's the last thing you'll ever get free from me." When they left, I didn't feel victorious. Just done. The hate that once filled my chest was gone, replaced by something quieter. Peace, maybe. Closure. That night, I walked past the shelter again. Its lights glowed warm through the windows. A new girl stood outside, clutching a duffel bag, shivering. I opened the door for her. "Come on," I said softly. "You're safe here." As the door closed behind us, I realized my mother's cruelty hadn't ended my story. It had forced me to begin my own. When I glanced back once more at the dark street beyond the shelter, I smiled to myself. They'd left me there to destroy me. All they'd done was deliver me home. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments where you're watching from.